G'day fellas. In this video I'm going to be answering the question, is Silversmith worth it? If you've been watching competitive play in recent times, you would have noticed the uptick in players electing to send the Silversmith card. So what is the Silversmith card? What does it do? So there are two components to the Silversmith card. The first one is that it has a flat increase on mining rate for settlers. So this doesn't affect fishing boats or anything else. It's simply settlers, settler wagons. The second component is the increase in gather yield from the coin mine. Say for example, you were to mine a coin mine that's in your base. It's got 2,000 coin on it. And if you mine that out completely, you'll have 2,000 coin sitting in your bank. But if you send Silversmith first and then mine out the coin mine, instead of having 2,000 coin, you would have 2,400 coin. So you're probably wondering then, well, why are we seeing an uptick in competitive play? As far as I'm aware, when it comes to competitive play, usually the focus is on unit shipments, it's on resource crates, and Silversmith is an upgrade, which is none of those things. So we only really see one civilization sending Silversmith at the top level, and that is the Germans. And I'm going to do my best to explain exactly why that is now. The first point is that the Germans typically want to fight over coin mines. This means that they need to work to obtain map control before the game finishes to try and take control of coin mines. They are a civilization that is more reliant than others on coin, and as a result, anything that they can use to expand that length of time that it takes for them to start needing to challenge coin mines gives them more space and more time as a result, and therefore more flexibility in their strategies. The Germans also want to hit a very fast age 3 time. Now typically this means somewhere between the 8-minute and 10-minute mark, and to achieve this there's a couple of ways that you can do it. The most common that you'd probably seen is by sending 3 settler wagons and then sending 700 gold. You may see 700 wood shipped before the 700 coin, but there are different variants that come out. The 3 settler wagon card is the most powerful age 2 shipment that there is in the game, and probably just the most powerful shipment there is, full stop. This is accompanied by 2 settler wagons in age 1, which means that the Germans are equivalent to 2 villages ahead on comparable civilizations, as most other civilizations, say the British or the Spanish, only have access to 3 villages and 5 villages rather than the equivalent of 4 villages and 6 villages. As a result, it typically means that the Germans are able to gather more resources than other similar civilizations in the same time frame, and that often by the time their shipment comes around with 700 coin, they're already pretty close to gathering that much coin as it is. So if our goal is to hit age 3, and to do so by sending 700 coin, what would happen if we instead made our goal to hit age 3, have a slower age up time, whether that be by 10-15 seconds, but do so with sending the Silversmith card. And that is exactly why players begun sending Silversmith. It was that you couldn't notice any meaningful impact on your age up time or the way that the game unfolded by not sending 700 coin and instead sending Silversmith. So that begs the question, is Silversmith worth it? Now this might be my inner spirit of the Drongo coming out here, but it's time for some quick math. In Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, there's a lot of different coin mines that you've got. You've got tin mines, silver mines, and gold mines. A tin mine gives you 1,500 coin, a silver mine gives you 2,000 coin, and a gold mine gives you 5,000 coin. For the sake of simplicity, we're going to be sticking with the silver mine, as it's the most common mine that you'll see throughout the map, and it has 2,000 coin. And I just know that there's somebody in the chat that's going to say, Drongo, you forgot the diamond mine. The Dutch can get it from their South African revolt. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but we're still going to stick with the silver mine. Okay, so we're going to be analyzing this in 2 parts. The first part that we're going to be analyzing is the gather yield. The second part that we're going to be analyzing is the gather rate increase. Okay, so as I said earlier, we're going to take our stock standard coin mine with 2,000 coin on it. Let's say we ship the Silversmith card. Congratulations, you've now got 2,400 coin once that is exhausted completely instead of 2,000 coin. Yes, I am aware that this can be stacked with the Sweden team bonus in age 1, which increases gather yield by a further 25%, but we're not going to be talking about that. We're just purely looking at Silversmith. And for those wondering, if you do ship Silversmith and have that team full on mine in age 1, you'll get 2,900 coin out of your coin mines that have only got 2,000 in them. But that's a story for another day. Let's get back to it. So typically as a German player, you're going to be sending this in place of the 700 coin. Now 700 coin, that's being dropped out of thin air from your home city. That's 700 coin you don't have to mine, 700 coin you don't have to worry about. So I'm going to be using 700 gold as our breakpoint, and anything that's gained after that we can consider pure profit, baby. So by just using some very basic math, we can determine that 3,500 is the break point, and that after 3,500 coin mined, we will have gained 700 coin extra. And so instead of using one of my own games, I'm going to be using the game that's currently playing behind me in the background, where both players are playing the Germans and both players have sent Silversmith. The first player has sent Silversmith as his third card, and the second player has sent Silversmith as his fourth card. A big shout out to the ESO community for allowing me to use this replay, so thank you very much, fellas. So the first player sending his Silversmith card as his third card from the home city, it arrives at 6 minutes and 30 seconds. At the exact time that Silversmith arrives, he's taken roughly 1,000 coin off coin mines. And not to spoil the game, but the total amount of coin that he gathered over the course of that game was 5,100. He never sent any other forms of gold shipment from the home city, such as 1,000 coin or 700 coin, and as a result, we can assume that he gathered 4,100 coin. Now, keep in mind that this coin was gathered with the additional gather rate that Silversmith provides. Typically, a player wouldn't have had this, and in that time instead, they would have had a little bit over 3,450 coin if they got their placer mines upgrade. So earlier I said that this was often being sent instead of 700 coin as a shipment, and as a result I would need to see that at least 700 coin of value would be coming from this. Earlier I mentioned that 3,500 raw coin being gathered would be the equivalent of that breakpoint with 700 extra resources, and in this case it appears that our player unfortunately hasn't reached that amount. But we do have a second player, so we can check and see whether they've been able to reach that amount themselves. So our second player instead sent Silversmith as their fourth card, and that arrived at 8 minutes on the dot. At the time that the card arrived, 2,000 coin had been taken off coin mines. At the end of the game, the player had gathered 6,300 coin. So deducting the 2,000 they gathered before Silversmith came in, and assuming that they got placer mines like their opponent did, by applying the same formula, we can see that the player actually did meet that 700 coin breakpoint. Keep in mind that with 700 coin, you're sending a static amount of coin that's impactful for that moment. If you're able to overcome that by shipping Silversmith and enabling yourself to get ahead in the long game while still not losing tempo in the short term, it can be a reasonable investment. But as we see here, the first player, who was going for a less coin-intensive strategy, never achieved that breakpoint, unlike his opponent, who was going for a coin-intensive strategy, sending mercenaries from the home city and really focusing on coin-heavy units. Now, keep in mind, I've chosen a rather arbitrary benchmark to be judging these by, and there are other aspects of sending this card that enable it to be significantly stronger than 700 coin. Now, this game went for 14 minutes, which is about standard for most games. By the time the game had finished, players had only just started moving settlers out around the map onto different coin mines. However, for a longer game, where players are competing for the mines in the middle of the map and on the extremities of the map, the Silversmith card is really going to come into its own. It means that you're going to be able to delay sending your settlers into positions where they might be vulnerable, and when you do eventually send them out there, they're going to be able to extract or gather more resources than they would have been able to otherwise, which means you're going to be able to build a larger army in the late game before transitioning over to estates. Due to the inability of being able to predict the length of a game accurately, and also the lack of impact from sending Silversmith instead of 700 coin, I'm satisfied that when you're playing the Germans, and it is your intention to do a semi-fast fortress by sending 700 coin, and on the condition that you're playing a relatively neutral or passive matchup, that Silversmith is indeed worth sending. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this more analytical video. I'm going to be aiming to do a bit more content like this. This is something that the channel started out doing. I am currently live over on Twitch at the moment, so come on over, check us out. I'll put a link down in the description for that one as well, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Special thanks over to the patrons on Patreon, those patrons being Nathan Holden, as well as the Esty Pesty. Thank you very much, guys, for your continued support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.